Welcome back to Chit Chats, everybody. My name is Antonio.
And I'm Cody, and let's have a chit chat.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice. I don't know why, but when I was like, my name is Antonio, I went, my name is Antonio. I don't, my name is
My
Antonio. I don't know.
name.
My name. Okay, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, welcome everybody. Cody, welcome to another wonderful, fantastic, sublime, incredible, amazing, outstanding, elite.
Greatest of all time.
Yep. One more. Um,
Stupendous.
luscious episode of Chit
There we
Chats.
go.
Yep. That's how they describe the show. Um, so
Hey, who's
Cody,
they?
what?
Who's they?
Who's they? You know that them.
Oh,
The
fair enough.
Yeah. So Cody, I thought today, because currently when this episode, well, when we're recording this and when this episode will go out, it is the back to school season, or I don't know what you like, what the specific time period of back to school season is, like late summer, essentially, right?
Yeah, I'd say late August, early September.
Yeah. I mean, I know some schools, like in certain, I think like U.S. states start in August. I'm pretty sure that's a thing.
They
I'm
start first week of September.
Oh, okay. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I thought
Or
like
at least,
some.
or at least here they do.
Okay.
I think it depends on what system they're in. I don't know.
Like
But sure.
whether or not it's the metric system, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what I'm talking about.
What is happening? It is pitch black
What? Your
behind me
camera just
now.
really wants to like darken itself
I guess so.
for some reason.
So don't worry about over here. Don't worry about over here. There's
Yeah.
nothing there.
Yeah.
You see two beady eyes right back there, and
There's
it's
like
nothing.
there's like good Cody and evil Cody. Oh, hey, it's nice Cody. It's good Cody. Okay. Evil Cody.
Neutral.
um so yeah, since it's back to school season, and Cody, I don't know if you remember this, but all the way back during the times of the Tonyverse podcast, like all that time ago, me and
Holy
you,
shit, that was a while ago.
that was a while ago. Yeah, that was a different era. Me and you did an episode of that show where we talked about high school advice. Do you remember that?
That I do remember
It's
that.
a bit of a deep cut, if you will, but
It kind of is.
it is. Yeah, it's that was a forgotten time. Like those, we're in like the modern era of Tonyverse. So that's like that was the we were almost like still finding our footing back then. Um, and we were in high school at the time, and we did an episode where we talked about like our little tips and tricks about how to survive high school. You know,
The horrors of high
the
school.
horrors of high school, the horrible, just awful time that is high school. So it's the new time. We're older. We're wiser. You could say.
Yeah.
And I thought we could talk about some. And we both either been in college or currently are in college. So today we're going to be talking about some college tips, or I thought this could be a mix of like, tips that we have to like, incoming college students if they were to find this, or just like maybe like stories of like personal experiences of college and like stuff that we learned from that kind of stuff.
I think before we start discussing, I think it's
Hmm.
important to state that I would say you have had a much more what would be considered like standard college experience.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
feel
Like for like comparing to your
my
college
own.
experience specifically.
Yes.
Okay. I
Yes.
mean, I guess you.
Because
Yeah.
because for people who don't know,
Hmm.
uh, I've lived not in the same city as the university that we've gone to. So
Mm-hmm.
I've been for the last like 3 years, 2 3 years, 2 years. I have been driving in
Yeah.
between my home and school.
Mm-hmm.
And so the time that I could have, like, have spent less time on campus and less time with classmates be for that reason.
Right. Okay.
And
Yeah.
it's my situation's a little bit, it's a little bit different.
That's
Yeah.
true. I definitely see. I definitely see that.
Comparatively to what would be considered like the standard,
Yeah.
or at least in my mind, what I would consider standard.
Yeah, like the traditional sort of like
Yeah.
idea of college. I mean, right off the bat, like first of all, obviously while, majority of younger people are going to be going to high school, like there is a significant portion of that population that won't be going to college, or you know what I mean? Like college is not obviously a requirement by any means
Yeah.
as an adult. But even then, like I mean, like kind of touching upon that, like I feel like college is a lot more of a. It's not it's such a rigid like thing. Like everyone can kind of have
Yeah.
a varying sort of college experience. Like I think you're right. Like I think from the traditional sort of like idea of what college is, I guess like I have had a more like what would be considered an average college experience. But yeah, I mean like everybody can kind of have different um like experiences. Like I actually know a good amount of people that I'm pretty sure had a similar situation to you where they were driving up from like wherever they live, like their hometown to take classes here. And then obviously there was a bunch of people that were that like flew here from other places in the world or other places in the
Yeah.
country or anything to go here.
That's true.
So it just really depends. But I think it'll be interesting for us to kind of like share our experiences or our advice based on our varying like times in college. Because like if you kind of want to talk about like because you all not only were you like in a different place from where we went to college, but you also went to community college for a
That's
couple
true.
years before coming
Yeah.
here. And so what was that experience like?
Have you ever seen the memes where it's like community college versus university?
I think I've seen a
Have you
couple.
ever seen
Yeah.
those memes?
Uh-huh.
It's very true.
Okay.
It's like community college is like, okay, class, what's 1 plus 1?
It's
And
very
that's like like one of the more difficult. And then in
the more difficult questions.
and yeah, and then when at a university, it's like this integral, solve it, like
Yeah.
figure it out. You have 5 minutes.
Mhm.
Like
There's a contrast.
it's very true. So community college is comparatively substantially easier, I will say.
Okay.
Well, I guess not for me. It was a bit easier. I should
Right.
specify. Um,
Well, and for context, like me and you were
or
taking
it was more simplistic.
sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And for context, like, me and you were taking what was considered college level classes in high school. So I think
That's very true.
we were used to kind of being pushed a little harder. And
Yeah.
from what it sounds like, community college is kind of reeling that back in a little if you were already there.
Yeah, a little bit.
Hmm.
I took so we took IB chemistry in high school.
Hmm.
You and I did.
Yeah.
And I didn't pass the IB exam, so I had to retake general chemistry in at community college.
Hmm.
And I used a lot of the notes from IB chemistry in that college class.
And I'm assuming that helped.
And it was it was very helpful.
Yeah.
Okay. Overall, also, once again, first year of college was also very weird for both of us.
That's
As
true.
it
And that
was
was a unique thing for
oh,
our year.
So both of our first years were online.
Yeah.
Um, as for at community college, it
Mm-hmm.
was I don't have anything to refer it to because I haven't taken any like I haven't taken any advanced or not advanced, but just like general uh colleges at university online per se, or like
Okay.
none that were yeah. Anyways, but yeah, first term of college being online and at community college, I will say it was definitely still very stressful.
Yeah. Um,
It was a huge shift in everything.
mm-hmm.
It felt like
Oh yeah.
because I guess this is just more general, but um, in university it is and like just in at a university it is definitely, as you said, much less rigid
Yeah.
compared
Um,
to high school,
for sure. Yeah. Like,
and that was a really big change for me.
yeah. And I don't think I really realized how much they do kind of hold your hand in high school as much. Like, obviously you have, like classes that you can take, like you can choose, you can customize your classes a little bit in high school, but there's still sort of a general like structure to
Yeah,
how you're going to be doing it.
if you're a freshman, you
Hmm.
take English 9.
Yeah.
If you're a
Hmm.
sophomore, you take English 10, or
Some
the
form of it.
or the adjacent form of that.
Right.
But
Hmm.
in college, you can do like they can kind of fuck you over where if you
Yeah.
accidentally take a class that you didn't need,
Yeah.
sucks for you.
That yeah, yeah.
Like, like
Sorry.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's very true. Yeah,
It's not.
cuz
Yeah,
there's less people like watching over your experience, you know what I mean? I mean really like
yes.
you're like the only one that's like really in charge of it.
Hmm.
Obviously you have like advisors and maybe like friends or professors that will kind of help guide you in certain directions, but it is very much your responsibility as opposed to high school where
Yeah,
if you're not taking a class you need, like they'll be like, "Oh, you gotta do that," you
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah. And it's very much. It's not like a because I remember in high school for us when we wanted to when we wanted an elective, we were just it was like here's a list, write it here.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
and they were like you can or you can't, and you
Mhm.
didn't know until like that happened. But
Yeah.
in college, it's very much like you like here's a list of classes you need to take, figure it out, like what order you
Mhm.
want to take them, what time period, what there's a lot of stuff that you yeah
That you got to kind of be on top of. And I
that
think
you have
that
to take in
that's
consideration and be on top of.
yeah. And I think that kind of like I kind of wrote like a, sort of very I don't know, quick list of like general like tips that I thought of, and one of them kind of related to that is like make sure that you know like what classes you need like ahead of the term, like don't wait too long to like figure that out. Um
Yeah.
and also like, I didn't really like think about this too much until we got to college, but like, in high school, at least for us, because I guess different high schools do things differently, but for us it was like you have 4 classes a day and they're like alternating days, right? So you have A day and a B day, and you have 4 classes on one day and 4 different other classes on the other day, and that only really amounts to like 8 slots, and there's only so much like customization within those 8 slots too, you know what I mean?
Yeah. On top of the required classes for,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
yeah, which is like the English 9, English 10, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And whereas with college, it's like, you know, the range of like times that you can do stuff is so much wider, and you can, you know,
Oh yeah.
just y- like, you can have a class in the top of the morning and then not have
And
another
then
one.
another class at 4 p.m.
Yeah, and then have all that time in
Yeah.
between with just nothing,
Yeah.
or no classes at least. Yeah, so it's which is nice. I think it's nice that you're able to customize it a little, like a lot more. Although I do think with there being required classes, the illusion of free will. No, it's like it's like you still do have to work with what is available to you, but
Mhm.
it definitely feels like there's a lot more that you can do for yourself,
Yeah.
which is nice.
And another thing is
Hmm.
you will only take classes that are specific to your major or your degree.
Yes, which is
So,
kind of
for
weird.
example, for both of us,
Yeah.
we're both in STEM.
Hmm.
When was the last time you took a writing class?
I took a writing class like my third year, but it was based on math.
Yeah,
So that kind of says it all
like
right there.
the last writing class that I took was
Hmm.
almost 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's
So, and that's just because it's not required. But same can be said for if you're gonna pursue a major in writing, you're
hmm
not gonna take math
no.
because typically you don't need that
You only need
for
like
a writing degree.
yeah, you only need like a certain amount of those like core subjects. And I think that this, because obviously we're going off of our own experiences, but I think this kind of generally goes for most colleges. You kind of need like a certain amount of each of the core subjects, and then you can really just kind of do whatever you want, or whatever you
Yeah,
need, rather.
I for me personally, I didn't understand the idea of or like the way that the credit system worked
Mm-hmm.
until college.
Yeah,
I know that it was like loosely used in high school, and I did not understand it in high
yeah.
school.
I don't. I did not know it was used in high school for like the majority of
Yeah,
high
it
school.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then
and
yeah.
that's the main like communication for how much of a workload in college you'll have
Hmm.
is the amount of credits that you take.
Yeah.
And then isn't it typically like one credit is equal to 3 hours of work
Yeah, I think
in a
that's
week?
the I think that's the like
Conclusion.
metric that they
Yeah,
use. Um
something like
and
that. But
at least for us, like, well, and another thing is like, you know, I took minimum of 12 credits every term that I had. And that's what you need to be considered full time, at least in our neck of the woods. But you know, most, I mean, like, and it differs for everyone, because some people could be going into college with credits pre-existing, so they don't have to take that many, or
that
because
was my case.
yeah, right, and I had a little bit of that too. Um, but you know, the standard, if you're going in with nothing, you're like, if you it depends on like how long you want to take to graduate, or
Yeah,
like,
I was just about to bring that up
yeah,
of the amount of the amount of time that you want to be in college is completely up to you.
yeah, truly.
Like I know one guy, he he was a couple of he was he's a good friend, classmate that I
Hmm.
made and couple like a year ago,
Yeah.
and I messaged him and was like, "Hey, I don't see you this term. Where are you?" And he said, "Oh, some stuff fell through, so I have to take a year off."
Right. Oh yeah, I think you told me
And
about that.
that happens.
Yeah.
and
And that's not
it's okay.
bad if that happens. Yeah, exactly. That's like,
No,
it
yeah, I
depends,
don't.
but
I think pushing the 4-year agenda for a undergraduate degree is a lot.
yeah, I agree.
I think that, and I've saw some video recently, but like on average, most people complete like a bachelor's degree in about 5 years, or like
yeah,
4.5 or something like that. And I guess it's important to realize that uh, you're in college for yourself,
mm-hmm,
and you take as much time as you need.
yeah,
And if you're not feeling it at some point, you can take a break if you want.
mm-hmm,
There's nobody telling you you can't do that.
yeah. It's it is really just up to you, and there. I mean, like, there's a lot of thought that can be put into it about, like, well, if I, you know, like, what do I want to be doing by this time? Like, do I
Yeah.
want to have my, like, should I have, like, based on what I want to do, like, is it better for me to, like, try to get it done by this point, or should I, like, or you can always, like, adjust your plan and stuff. It's very it's 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 not rigid. It's concurrently
Yes.
binding, I guess, is a way of putting it. And I know this guy who actually took like 10 years to get his degree, because he was doing other stuff in the meantime, while he was like in the process of doing that. And I think he like mainly
Mhm.
took like online classes throughout that time.
Yeah.
You know what that guy's name was, Cody?
Oh, I do.
Mr. Shane
I know
Top.
exactly. Shane Top.
Yeah. But like,
at first I was like, 10. Who the fuck do you know?
yeah, I think it was 10 years. I think that's how long he
It was
took.
like 10 years
Yeah.
of doing like one class a term for
Yeah.
however long.
Right, yeah. But I think
But
that like it just hammers in the point that
yeah.
it can take as long as you want it to, or it needs to,
Mhm.
Um
Mhm.
and kind of on the topic of like scheduling classes, like I think one thing, well, and okay, like, you only when did you first start taking classes like at the university that you were like going to in person? Was that just like 2022, fall 2022?
Yes. Yeah, it was
Okay.
fall of 22.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um like, I don't know if you ever had this experience, but did you have an experience where, like, did you ever like schedule a class, and then did you space them out, or did you ever have like one right after another if they were in
Like
person?
intentionally space them out.
Yeah, or just like it
Typically,
worked out that way, you know?
yes. I think this last term that I've been in,
Mm-hmm.
I've had one class and then another,
Like right after.
like multiple times. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this like more recently, especially with the types of classes that I've been in for my degree.
Yeah.
They're every day and from varying hours.
Mm-hmm.
And uh yeah, and typically they're in the middle of the day. So I'll have a class some days in the mornings and then immediately have to go there.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean,
When I first
yeah.
came, it was definitely more so like spread out
Okay.
and yeah.
In like different buildings, different time periods.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
No,
Okay. Yeah, cuz
no. All
I
of my classes have been in one building
yeah, okay. Um
or any other, or I guess one other building, but it's right across the street from
right.
another. So it's
Uh-huh.
really not that far.
Okay. Cuz what I wanted to kind of touch upon, and I think a good amount of college students kind of go through something like this, is where like they will schedule their classes to be like kind of in one ongoing block. or maybe not always, but like, that like, or maybe you just have like one and then you have one right after it, like in the next hour. And
Yeah.
based on the location that they're at and the amount of time that you have to get from the end of one to the beginning of the next one, you don't really like leave yourself a lot of time for like, leeway, like
Yeah.
between them. Um, and that's something that like I don't necessarily like. I didn't really think about. So okay, basically, so in the reason why I want to bring this up is in spring of 2023 specifically, I did something where I had 4 classes on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I scheduled them all in like one block of time. Like it was literally like one and then another one and then another one and then another one. Like all in the span of 4 hours, right? And it was from 11 to 3, right? And I thought that that would have been like a really good idea because it's like, oh, I get them all done in that one block of time, and then I have the rest of
Yeah.
the day to do whatever. You know what I mean? Work on homework, relax, whatever I want to do or have to do. It ended up being that was like one of my least favorite terms that I ever took. Because it was just like you're going from one class to another, and they were all in different buildings also. So I
Yeah.
had to like immediately, and you have like 10 minutes to get from one to the other. And I had no time to like get like food or relax or like even really like go to the bathroom.
I remember that
Yeah.
time.
You were like,
Yes. You and I had one class, technically two, whatever.
yeah.
One class together,
Hmm.
and I remember that time period.
Yeah. It was brutal. It was quite a brutal
Yes.
time. But well, it taught me like, to be more mindful and like realistic with how you're doing that because these classes that another thing is like these college classes were not as long as they were in high school as we had in high school. Like it's kind of weird thinking back, like we had hour and a half long like lectures in high school. Like that's kind of weird
That is kind of
to
crazy
think
to think
about.
about.
Yeah. And
And yeah, because our school was from what, like 8 to 3.
yeah, it was around like 8 to 3, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's just it's weird. It's just so weird. And you know, and even that like, and we barely had like like a lot of time in between those classes. But in college, like I will say like majority of like especially your core classes, there's so much content packed into that one lecture a lot of the time that like it's a lot on your brain, you know.
Oh yeah.
And I think just generally speaking, it's better to have like a substantial break in between each one to like just decompress and like
Yeah.
digest the information that was just unloaded onto you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or just give your brain a couple of seconds to shut off.
Yeah.
Or
Oh
to
yeah.
just like cool off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
So thankfully I did have classes back to back, but
mhm,
I was thankful in the fact that all of the classes that I did have back to back, they were from lab to lecture.
right.
So
So,
it was a lot less of learning new thing, learning new thing,
mhm,
and more so learning new thing, but also applying stuff,
yeah,
and then going straight to learning so much more.
right. It's a little
And
different
thankfully,
for sure.
yeah, for lab classes, you don't need to, for at least what we're doing. Um, it's like a little bit less of a brain exercise as it is trying to take in and understand new information.
Hmm. Definitely, yeah.
And also, once again, I was very lucky in that all of my classes were in the same building or were within like 10 feet of each other.
Yeah, you lucky,
So,
lucky son of a bitch. Must be
and another
nice.
thing to add on to that
Yeah.
is because I went to community college, I took all of my like not common core, what the fuck?
Yeah, like
uh back core
yeah, backcore. In our case, they're
classes.
called backcore, but yeah.
Like your writing,
Mm-hmm.
general history, health,
Mm-hmm.
all that sort of stuff I took before, so I didn't have to worry about that when I got to college or when I got to like university.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, did you ever have to take like a pack class?
No, I didn't. I
Bruh.
No, I didn't. I took a was it a physical? I took some physical health class that counted for that.
Okay.
And I think for my degree, I don't think they're required.
Okay. I
I don't
thought
know.
that just generally speaking, every student had to take some kind of pack class, which I think stands for like what physical activity something
Course.
course. Yeah. um,
I don't know.
but like yeah. I didn't know if it yeah, like because I never remember hearing you talk about taking one, so I was just curious. Um,
Yeah. No, I have not yet.
oh yeah, that's
Not
true.
yet.
That you know,
I am planning on doing that in
yeah.
my final year.
Mm-hmm. That'll be interesting. There's a lot of those like
Yeah.
to take that you can take. Um,
But those
but
are
yeah,
like the huge differences between high school and college.
yeah, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
So,
yeah, that's true. I think we pretty much like covered the bulk of them, and I will say like or like just really quick touching upon like the whole like going between each class, like every class that I was doing in that time period was like different topics,
yeah.
different teachers, different
That's what I
buildings. It was a mess.
that's why I brought up the didn't need not needing to take like the back core on
Yeah.
campus.
Mhm.
Because I already did it was because as soon as I came to university, I was solely able to focus on just my degree,
Yes, which I think is
like
nice.
or like on just my majoring, the
Yeah.
classes that I'm majoring in.
Yeah.
So it was I didn't need to go anywhere else because all of my classes for this subject are in the same building.
Would you say and did you like that? Was that like a night was that a good just I guess you don't necessarily have anything to compare it to, but like I don't know, like would you have rather had breaks where you took classes based on stuff that wasn't relating to your major?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh
okay.
yes. Yes,
Okay.
please.
Okay. So,
I uh yeah, just because because I don't like it's whatever. I'm getting a degree in physics.
yeah. I guess we didn't
Physics is
really touch
hard.
upon that. Yeah.
Yeah, physics is hard and it's a
Mhm.
lot.
Yeah.
And I wish that I had time in my schedule to not think about physics 24/7.
Yeah, for sure.
And more so right now in the last year and my final year.
Yeah.
Um, I did have to take a couple of what were they? They were also back core classes, but it was like a science based one and like a social studies based one.
Okay.
Like those I didn't take at community college because they weren't offered or they didn't transfer over or whatever.
Right.
But thankfully, those classes were very nice. But
Mhm.
I wish I did more.
Yeah. And I mean,
Yeah,
like sometimes you don't always
I
have like it's just based on circumstance. It's just based on like
yeah
what you need to be doing or
mhm.
like prefer to be doing at a given time.
Yeah, and I also wish that those things happened. That I wish that that would have happened because then I would have been able to explore campus more
Mhm.
as
That's fair.
opposed to going to the same spot every day,
Yeah.
not having time or want or like I don't know. It's I wasn't given the opportunity to really explore
Yeah.
because I would leave my house, drive here, go to my one building,
Yeah.
be there for like 3 hours,
Uh-huh.
and then go back to my car and go home.
Yeah.
So I didn't have too much, like, I didn't have very many, like, I didn't have very many opportunities to explore campus as I wish I could have.
Mhm. I mean, I think that's actually another like, big difference between high school and college is like, college is so much bigger. Like the
Yeah.
atmosphere and you
Yeah.
know,
They're called college towns for a reason.
yeah. Yeah,
And it's
exactly.
because most of the infrastructure is based off of the college and
Mhm.
its students.
Yeah. And it really
Yeah.
does like, well, and especially cuz it's interesting cuz we came from a college town technically. Um
That's even more of a college town,
yeah. Um
probably.
are you talking about Eugene?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I feel like actually I
Yeah,
would
no.
say because I feel like Eugene at least like, the university is a little bit more like a separate thing or like it's I don't know. I don't know. Maybe not everybody would say this, but I would say it's more of like Eugene can stand on its own other than the university that's in it. But I feel like where we went,
Yeah.
I don't know many like I feel like it's known for housing our university. You know what I mean?
Yes, I would agree.
That's my general
That's true.
like viewpoint of it, but um yeah, like, and it's I don't know, it's cool like because you get to like living in a college town, I mean, because as a college student, like you immediately have something in common with like majority of people there, you know what I mean? Or like at least the
Mhm.
majority of people that you're probably going to end up talking to. Um
Yeah.
but at least here like, and another thing is like you were living in Eugene coming here and I was living here going to the university. But there's just
Yeah.
less, I don't know. I find there's less to do if you're like unless you're like going out and
Yeah.
socializing every night, which at least personally I wasn't doing that as much. Um,
Yeah.
which you know,
And for me, as
mm-hmm,
somebody who now lives there, ooh,
ooh, yeah,
uh, there is a lot more for me to do here because I'm new
yeah,
and I have not experienced what being in a college town is like until right now.
that's true. Yeah, and I mean, like it just depends because like you know, I'm not as much of a big social butterfly. I like going out, but it's
Mm.
seldom. But if you're into that, then like it's a no-brainer. You know what I mean? Cuz
Yeah.
you're going to be like and I think for you like you'll find your footing like you know like whether or not you end up going out a lot or maybe you'll find a new like appreciation for it now that you actually have the
Yeah.
opportunity to do it. It just yeah, again, it just depends on who you are. Um but it it's a cool experience overall. Like I just, you know, I think what's you know, I think with college like, you know, obviously you're mainly there to get your degree. Like that's the whole point. But I think there's a lot of good that can come to going to college that isn't even necessarily related
Oh,
to
yeah.
getting your degree. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I 100% agree. I
Hmm.
think that for somebody who just moved out onto their own,
Hmm.
I have definitely been sheltered
Hmm.
and like I am very ready to try new things and do new things.
Right.
and as opposed to when I was in Eugene.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that, uh, yeah, I'm ready for like growth as a person, which will
Mm-hmm.
happen just by trying new things and being independent.
Yeah.
I think is a great experience,
Cody, you will grow
which yeah.
whether you want to or not. It'll happen.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I'm sorry to be the one to break it to you. Yeah. Um
Damn it.
no, but yeah, no, like I don't know, and I think that that's like I don't know. It that's like a like maybe it's not like an overlooked aspect of college, but I don't think it's as appreciated like the amount of like personal growth that you go through
Hmm.
by having that experience. I mean, obviously not everybody goes through that experience like people will go through that experience even if they're not in college.
At different points in life, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe
Or
you'll go to college and you won't necessarily have that experience, but then later in life you will. It just really depends.
yeah,
Um but I do think that it at least for me like it definitely pushed me to grow more as an individual, as a person, you know what I mean? And I am forever appreciative of that aspect of it. Um
yeah.
but
It's
yeah.
like when you go to college, it really is a new like era for yourself.
It is.
And I think I'm not trying to keep talking about myself, but just as somebody who
How
just
dare you?
recently,
No, I'm just kidding.
I know, as somebody who just recently moved moved out of their childhood home
Mhm.
and is still in college, I'm already feeling it.
Yeah.
And I yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a really cool thing that it's definitely I feel like I'm in a new era for myself.
Yeah.
That's where I was trying to go.
For sure. Yeah. No, and like it really does hit you hard when you go through that cuz I remember going through that when I moved out like a couple years ago and it was weird like it really did not hit me until I was here, you know? Like
Mhm.
and I wasn't, able to or like I wasn't in the same home as my parents, you know what I mean? Like it was just like, wow,
Yeah,
this is different. This is, like um
yeah,
and I think if you're immediately like if you're wanting to go to college or in college already, like you probably want to have that experience like of like moving on and being more independent. So it is a really good feeling. Um and I think overall it's kind of a necessary thing too. I think like if you're not you can't be, I mean like if you want to have like a certain amount of growth, like it's just a good idea to break out of your comfort zone, you know?
Mhm.
So I think,
Yeah,
yeah. And obviously it depends on when you're able to or how you're able to or anything like that. Like, it's all dependent on a lot of factors. But if you're able to make it happen, I think that it's a good idea.
yeah. I would definitely agree.
Yeah. Um,
Well, Antonio, as
yeah.
somebody who has finished college, what is your biggest piece of advice?
Dude, great
The
question.
main topic that
Great
we're
question.
getting to now.
Um, I think that I'll ask you the same question after I give my answer. Um, I think like the biggest piece of advice that I have for like incoming college students or just anyone that wants to go to college or in college, is just like get out there. I think we've already kind
Yeah.
of been touching upon it, but like break out of your comfort zone. Don't don't stay in a bubble of like what you feel comfortable with. And it's tempting to do that, obviously. And I've been guilty of like acting in that way. But even then, like
Mhm.
I'm appreciative for the things that I have done that were like, maybe a little like I wasn't really sure if I would like doing it, or you know, certain things like, you know, going out to like a party, or going out to like hang out with people at a at, you know, at a bar, or at a you know, at a group event that I wasn't necessarily like, oh, you know, I've never really done, like, you know, I was like, oh, I've never done something like this before, like this is new, like I don't know if this is my thing. I think even if it's not your thing, like it's good to just try it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it
And
yeah.
that is something that I'm actively trying to
Yeah. Yeah.
at
Well, thank you for
because
taking
I
my advice, Cody.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're welcome.
Yeah.
Because because I went home because it was so far away, I never I never called where our university is home. I
Right.
never felt like I could stay here
Mhm.
and go to events
Yeah.
with classmates and make those connections and
Yeah.
step out of my comfort zone because it just didn't feel right.
Yeah, you weren't always in the circumstance that lended itself to you
Yeah.
doing that easily. So I understand. Like it
Mhm.
makes sense.
Mhm.
But now you're set up to do that if you
I
want to.
am.
So that's pretty
If I
cool.
want. And I'm planning.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, there you go. Cody, what is your like big what is your biggest piece of advice that you would give? Imagine I'm a little college, like a little upcoming college student. I'm like, Cody, I'm gonna go to college. Like, what should I do? What should I do, Cody? Help me. Sorry, I don't know
I
what that
would
was.
say no, that was great.
Thank you. That was a little Timmy.
Um, oh, cool. I'd say, I mean, I definitely would second what you said. That's super important.
It's a really broad
I'd
piece of
also,
advice, but you know,
yeah,
it's
I'd
yeah,
say, especially for, because I can only really speak from somebody who's in STEM and the culture that the STEM majors like bring.
yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask
Oh
questions
my God, yeah.
and don't be
Mm-hmm.
afraid to be wrong.
Yes.
And those are still things that I am actively working on.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gotten a lot better about it
Mm-hmm.
this last year.
Yeah.
But holy shit, that's like, if I could go back in time, like even just like 3 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that I'd say that to myself
Yeah.
because
Hundred
it's
percent.
so important. It's so important to not get stuck in your own head because you're there you're there to learn
Yeah.
and
And you are only
that's
human,
okay.
and you will make mistakes, and
Yes.
that's okay.
Yes.
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 100% agree. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um and especially in any of the majors like STEM where which would be considered there's a lot of people in there that you will also definitely compare yourself to.
Mm-hmm.
And also just in general, you will compare yourself to people and
Mm-hmm.
I think it's totally understandable to to do that and
Yeah.
at some point it could probably be healthy but
It's not bad to
it's
strive to be better, you know.
yeah, definitely, but it's
Yeah.
also not good to put yourself down that you're not somebody else
Yeah,
because you're
for
you
sure. Yeah.
and you will never
Exactly.
be somebody else but yourself.
Yeah. It's you got to
And
embrace who you
that's
are.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, no.
I guess just to say all of that in one thing, you are enough.
Yeah, you are
Like
Kenough.
you are Kenneth.
Mhm.
True. Sublime. Am I
Yeah.
right? Am I
Mhm.
right?
That was a reference to Oppenheimer.
Um,
Um
that was
yeah. Uh-huh.
but
Yeah, I
that would
agree.
probably be the biggest piece. Don't be afraid to be wrong. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Mhm.
You're there to learn. So ask the questions.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. Yeah,
It's
and that's only coming from somebody who was in STEM. I don't have any other
Yeah,
like non
for all you
background.
artsy majors that it can't be wrong because it's a subjective thing. Like, fuck you. This is not for you. In fact,
Fuck you.
stop. Go away.
No.
Stop watching.
I'd say I'd say as well, just another piece of advice that I have kind of tried to do,
Uh huh.
especially as somebody who is in STEM,
Mm-hmm.
is to not look down
Oh
on
yeah,
other majors because that is a very prevalent thing
yeah,
in
and
STEM
I joke about it,
because
but yeah, you don't want to do that.
because in because typically when you do math and science, that's considered like the smart person thing, but in
Yeah,
actuality, everybody is smart in their own way.
yeah,
And
very true. Yeah,
yes, you're good at math and science, but you can't write a novel.
yeah. Everybody has
But
their own
like, I guess you
strengths,
can.
you know.
Yes.
Yeah,
And I think personally you can learn anything from anybody.
yeah, I
And
think
it's
so.
not I don't think it's very healthy to look down on people
I think if you have the
in general.
ambition and the drive to learn something, I think you can.
Mhm.
Like,
Oh yeah,
generally
totally.
speaking. Um, yeah, for sure. Yeah, like that's very true. Yeah, like you want to stand on your own. I think that that's like the
Yeah,
most broad way of putting what you're saying. Like you don't want to feel worse in comparison to somebody, and you don't want to feel like you're better than people either. You know what I mean?
definitely.
You want to
Definitely.
stand on your own, just be who you are, and just do your own thing. And
There's not a
yeah,
hierarchy.
no, no, there's not.
Yeah. Everybody's
Yeah.
there doing their own thing. They're all
Hmm.
paying for it. So
Exactly. Yeah.
just do your own thing.
You guys all have the same or a similar goal. Like
Hmm.
you should be, if you shouldn't be comparing yourself, you should be working together to achieve the goal.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean?
The real
So
objective of college is to just survive. That's it.
that's true. Yeah. It's
Not make connections, not learn, survive.
college is like a video game. You you have you have 3 lives.
Antonio, I'll one up you with that and say
Holy shit.
life is like a video game.
Holy shit. Dude, that is philosophical as fuck. Wow.
I know.
When did we become
And with that, I'm gone.
when did we become the philosophy bros? Holy shit, he actually left. Oh, he's back. Holy shit, we got oh my god,
Holy
you went
fuck.
from dark you went from evil Cody to light Cody.
Angelic.
Holy shit, that was prolific. That was incredible. I think that I think we gotta call it there. I think that that's the sign right there that that's where we gotta
Yeah.
end this. I think we really we touched upon like the main pretty much the main stuff that you
Yeah.
should know about college. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously, this is like a topic that we can go on for a while about,
And
but
then it would just dwell into I hate
existentialism
this
and
specific thing about this specific class.
yeah, it would just get really
And
specific. Yeah,
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 by
yeah,
that
yeah,
point it's just
yeah. Unfortunately, we cannot do that until we get to the Chit Chats 24-hour live stream charity event where we just
Mhm.
have to fill 24 hours of doing whatever. Then we can talk about
of talking.
of talking. Then we can of having a chit chat. Then we can talk about that nitty gritty stuff. But we're
That's
not
true.
there yet.
Yeah, I'll go over everything that I learned in one of my physics classes in
Yeah,
24 hours.
yeah, just yeah. That's you know what
That'll go
that's
well.
yeah. I think that would yeah. I,
Yeah.
I'm all for that, dude. Um, but this episode is going to come to a close. So Cody, thank you for joining me today and
And Antonio,
discussing.
thank you for having me.
Of course, it was my pleasure, and thank you for imparting your knowledge and wisdom and your advice onto me and the world
Mhm.
of
Yeah, because if
college.
there's anybody who needs advice from somebody in college. It's somebody who already graduated from college.
I think that makes sense. Yeah. Coach, teach me, Cody. It's long overdue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the show, and we will see you guys on the next episode of Chit Chats.
True.
I'm gonna touch the lens. Boop. Also, discussion posts are dumb.
They're stupid.
What?